The 1987 NFL season was disrupted by the players' strike, which saw the 16-game season reduced to 15. A 24-day players' strike was called after Week 2, which resulted in Week 3 games being cancelled across the league, and games from Week 4, 5, and 6 being played by mostly replacement players. About 15% of the NFLPA's players chose to cross picket lines and play during the strike. The attendance dropped below 10,000 at most of these games. Television revenues were down by about 20%, and the defending Super Bowl champion New York Giants went 0-3 in these replacement games, which ultimately cost them a spot in the playoffs. But despite all the drama that happened between the league, the owners, and the NFLPA, the 1987 NFL season is also remembered for its highly publicized and controversial MVP voting between the three leading contenders: San Francisco 49ers quarterback Joe Montana, Denver Broncos quarterback John Elway, and San Francisco 49ers wide receiver Jerry Rice. The Associated Press NFL Most Valuable Player Award is presented annually to the player in the NFL who is considered to be the most valuable to their team's success in that year's regular season. While there have been many selectors of the NFL MVP in the past, the Associated Press is considered to be the de facto official NFL MVP award. To understand why the 1987 NFL MVP selection was so controversial and is still considered a major upset in sports, let's take a look at Elway, Montana, and Rice's 1987 seasons. Denver Broncos quarterback John Elway had a great 1987 season. In 12 games, Elway attempted 410 passes, completing 224 for a completion percentage of 54.6%, which resulted in 19 touchdowns and 12 interceptions over 3,198 yards. He achieved a passer rating of 83.4 and fumbled the ball only twice. Elway was one of the league's most efficient quarterbacks, ranking 3rd in yards per attempt, 4th in adjusted yards per attempt, and 1st in net yards per passing attempt. He also provided solid ground production, covering 304 yards in 66 carries and scoring 4 touchdowns. Elway and his starters played only 12 games that season, winning 8, losing 3, and tying 1, to lead the Broncos to an overall record of 10-4-1 for the season and a playoff spot. For his efforts, the Duke of Denver was selected to second-team All-Pro and the Pro Bowl. Our second contender, San Francisco 49ers quarterback Joe Montana, had arguably the greatest season of his career. Montana attempted 398 passes, completing 266 for a league-leading completion percentage of 66.8%, which resulted in 31 touchdowns and 13 interceptions over 3,054 yards. His passer rating of 102.1 again led the league and made him the only quarterback that season to achieve a rating of over 100 while he fumbled the ball only 3 times. He won 10 of the 11 games he started in, leading the team to a league-best 13-2 record and a comfortable playoff spot. He also scored a rushing touchdown, bringing his season total to 32. For his efforts, the comeback kid was selected to first-team All-Pro honors and the Pro Bowl. And lastly, we have who most people and writers in 1987 felt should have won the NFL MVP award: San Francisco 49ers wide receiver Jerry Rice. To put into perspective how great Rice in 1987 was, Mike Quick of the Philadelphia Eagles had the second most receiving touchdowns in the league with 11. Rice had double that number with 22, which was also a then single-season record. Rice also achieved that record in just 12 games. It would take 20 years and a full 16-game schedule for Randy Moss to break that record by 1 touchdown in 2007. To add to those 22 touchdowns, Rice also had a rushing touchdown against the Atlanta Falcons to bring his regular season total to 23 touchdowns. Jerry Rice scored nearly 2 touchdowns a game. It was an unprecedented number that outshone all offensive stats in 1987. Jerry Rice had a transcendent season for an offensive player that still stands as one of the all-time greatest individual seasons in the NFL. Rice had 65 receptions and averaged 16.6 yards for a total of 1,078 yards. His receptions ranked second out of players to play in the 12 games without the 3 replacement games, and his 89.8 receiving yards per game were the best in the league. Statistically speaking, if any non-quarterback ever deserved to win the league MVP, it was 1987 Jerry Rice. Rice did win the NFL Offensive Player of the Year award and the Bird Bell Award, and was selected to the first-team All-Pro and the Pro Bowl. 8 organizations named Jerry Rice their MVP. Michael Wilbon of the Washington Post, with 1 game left in the season, named Rice his most outstanding player of the season and Elway his most valuable player, which he admitted to being a cop-out. Peter King of Newsday named Elway his MVP. Montana his runner-up, and Rice at third. The only other outlet to agree with Peter King and name Elway the NFL MVP were the Associated Press. Of the 84 AP voters, 43% named Elway the MVP, while the remaining 57% voted for either of the 49ers stars. Jerry Rice received 30 votes, and Joe Montana took the other 18. John Elway had edged out Jerry Rice by 6 votes to take home the AP NFL MVP award by 36 votes. But the question is, was Elway the deserved winner of the award? The vast majority of outlets and writers seem to disagree. Even the Associated Press award went to Elway by only 6 votes. Elway did receive more AP votes, but not the majority. An argument that further strengthens Jerry Rice's case to win the MVP is the 1987 Bert Bell Award, which Jerry Rice won. The Bert Bell Award, named after the second NFL Commissioner Bert Bell, has been presented by the Maxwell Football Club since 1959 to the Player of the Year in the NFL. Voters for this award are NFL club owners, football personnel, head and assistant coaches, as well as members of the Maxwell Football Club, national media, and local media. Jerry Rice received 326 first-place votes and 1,996 total points to become the first wide receiver to win the Bert Bell Award since its inception in 1959. Elway received 133 first-place votes and 833 points, while Montana garnered only 49 first-place votes and 421 points. It was clear that the overwhelming consensus amongst NFL authorities, football personnel, and the media was that Jerry Rice deserved the MVP award. But it's not as simple as it sounds. Since 1959, the Bert Bell Award has been presented every season with the exception of 2020. And in the 63 seasons where both the Associated Press MVP and the Bert Bell Award have been presented, not counting the co-MVP winners, the two awards have had different winners 28 times out of 63 seasons. That's a pretty frequent occurrence. That being said, what actually worked against both Montana and Rice was them being on the same team. Without Rice, there would be no Montana, and vice versa. Add to that dynamic Pro Bowlers and Hall of Famers like Ronnie Lott, Michael Carter, and Roger Craig, and it's not surprising that the 49ers finished as the #1 seed in the NFC. The individual greatness of Montana and Rice both contributed towards and simultaneously took away from each other's accomplishments. I'll finish it off by making the case for Elway. John Elway's numbers weren't the most impressive. 19 passing touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and only an 83.4 passer rating. But if you look at Elway's supporting cast, those numbers start to look magnificent. Elway was throwing passes to Vance Johnson and Mark Jackson, who combined for a measly 9 receiving touchdowns that season. Broncos lead running back Sammy Winder averaged only 3.8 yards per carry, and the team ranked only 12th in rushing yards and 20th in rushing yards per carry. The O-line did not help much, with the exception of an above-average season by Keith Bishop, and yet somehow Elway still managed to rank the Broncos 4th in points scored amongst all teams that season. The biggest thing that works against Elway is pure stats, where both Montana and Rice outclassed him. But if the MVP award is truly about the importance of one player to a team, wherein that player elevates the team from pretenders to contenders, despite the lack of a supporting cast, and in whose absence on the field, the team fails to reach a certain playing standard, then yes, John Elway of the Denver Broncos is arguably the most deserving of the 3 athletes to win the NFL MVP award. Personally, I think Jerry Rice should have won the award, but ideally, it would have been shared between John Elway and Jerry Rice, appreciating and enshrining both a pure workhorse season by the Bronco, pun intended, and a dazzling display of athleticism and speed by the greatest wide receiver in the history of the game. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more sports content. In the meantime, click on these thumbnails to check out our other videos